Hi, everybody. My name is Katy Reynolds. I work with ChildSavers, but today I'm coming to you from my home play therapy office. And I just wanted to take a moment today to talk with you about a few ways that parents can help their children process their emotions during this very chaotic time. We clinicians at ChildSavers often hear from parents questions about how to get their kids talking about emotions or working through them at home with their parents. It can be challenging, especially with the little ones. So these strategies that I'm sharing with you today are intended to be ways to support children of all ages. They can be easily adapted depending on the needs of your kiddo. I would say it's accessible for especially ages between like 4 and 19, 18 and 19. You can really use it past them, but we're obviously talking about kids here today. Obviously before 4, they're just, don't have the vocabulary the same way. So you could maybe try some of these strategies depending on if your younger child you feel like could do it, or maybe you could adapt some of the strategies we're talking about here. I'll also just put in a quick plug for things like books. There are a lot of great books focused on emotional learning and emotional expression that you could definitely use with some younger kids to help them start to get the knowledge and the vocabulary that will help them process things over time. Another great option would be something like Inside Out, which can always be fun for especially the younger kiddos to watch. Great option to just kind of pause and talk about some of the feelings that come up, or even to explore as a family after you're done watching. So those are some things that might be a little more adaptive to our younger kiddos. But the strategies I'm going to talk to you here about today range in how we come about them. The first is really, I was thinking about this. I was thinking, what could we do that has bigger bang for its buck and can do multiple things at one time? And a great option, I think, would be to establish some sort of family routine, of course, and then in that you could establish some consistent time to do a verbal check-in. So a great time that might be an option would be some sort of meal or snack time, something when people are already kind of calmer and sitting together and talking would be a great time to check in with your kids about what their perspective is of what's going on, what feelings might have come up. I might do this by modeling first, by saying something like, there's a lot going on, and I know I'm feeling a lot of things, and I wanted to check in with you guys to see how you're feeling. These are some of the things that I'm feeling. What's coming up for you? It's a great idea to use that modeling skill because some kids just don't have the same comfort level with their emotion words. Some of them just don't have as much comfort talking about things like this verbally. So we'll talk about some nonverbal strategies in a second. But through modeling, you're showing them also that if things are okay, I feel these ways and I'm still okay. And we're all going to be okay. And emotions are normal. And by you using those words, you're also helping them expand their emotion vocabulary as well. So it's a great learning tool. If that might not be the right fit for your family, again, especially thinking about those younger ones, um, you could also look, I'm just going to look over here. I've got a few supplies out. Um, I think a great strategy would also be to look into your art supply cabinet. If you have anything at home, it could really range. I'm pulling up a few options here just to show you. You could do something like Play-Doh with what I'm about to say next. Just use like honestly paper, crayons, whatever you have available. This is not about having the most amazing supplies, but it would be great to set up an art time and to just say, either here are your choices of supplies or here's what we have. Why don't we each create a picture or in the case of something like Play-Doh, maybe a figure or a shape that could help us better understand how you're feeling and what's going on for you today. I should have said this earlier, but any of these strategies that you use, I would really encourage you to add in some language to help the child focus in on the moment, the here and now. Because as you probably know already with yourself, and it's very true for our kids too, feelings change all the time. So we really need to be specific about when we're asking the child to look into their feelings. And for most people, it's going to be easiest to do in the here and now. And that's also a way of kind of grounding and centering yourself into the moment and taking the time to reflect. So it's also a good strategy outside of just emotions and processing. So that could be really fun. Even just squiggles. Honestly, I mean, I think that tells you a lot, right? You could have squiggles. There's different ways to do this. Some adults might feel more comfortable with more of an interpretation. This is what I've noticed in your drawing, and this is what it makes me feel. I'm wondering if that's what you meant by that. Or you could leave it more open-ended. I prefer the more open-ended tracks just because kids surprise you with what they come out with. But after everybody's done, it might be a great say, who wants to share? And what would you like us to know about your drawing or your artwork? What would you like us to feel? Is there anything we can do to help you with what's come out of your art? So great strategy there to get some creativity flowing, and again, a little bit more accessible for those kids that might not have the feeling vocabulary yet. And through the processing part of that experience, you could certainly throw in some feeling words. I do often have parents ask me and teachers ask me, if I'm throwing out a feeling word, isn't that me telling the kid what they're supposed to be feeling or how they're feeling? And I can see how it come across that way, but actually throwing out a feeling word is a great way to show somebody, especially a child, that I'm seeing you, I'm hearing you, and I'm reflecting what it looks like to me. And as I mentioned, a lot of our kids are still learning that skill of increasing their emotional vocabulary. So it's really more of like a guess, and you could phrase it as a guess. I'm wondering if, or it seems like. And that way the child really has the room, and most children will anyway take the room to correct you if you're wrong. So if I were to say, it seems like you're sad, I've had plenty of children tell me, no, I'm not sad. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm frustrated. And then it's really important that whatever the child expresses to you, pick it up and run with it. Even if it doesn't look like how you would perceive that feeling, that doesn't matter. Right now, we're just taking in what they're saying. What they're saying is totally valid. How they're experiencing it is valid. And so it's an opportunity for you to just lean into that. And then the last strategy that I had some ideas for here, something a little more movement based, a little more theatrical, if you will. I have this available in my house just based on what's here. Not everybody has musical instruments, but you could certainly come up with something like, spoons on pots and pans. I know I remember from my childhood, and a lot of kids really enjoy being able to take their energy out on something like that, especially when it's sanctioned by parents. But using music or using your body and dance to take some time to describe and show others how you're feeling is another great strategy to help kids process their emotions with their parents. So you could say to your kids, hey, let's pull out some instruments, again, if you have them, or make some instruments if you don't, or let's take some time to act out or dance out what we're feeling right now. And then from that, you have, again, that baseline that you can start your processing your questions or your comments after the child is done presenting their work to you. And that can start the basis of a really great conversation and foundation for parents to work with and understanding where their kids are at, and continuing to check in. So those are the strategies I wanted to share with you today. And I would just leave you with, I would encourage you to keep doing whatever strategy might work for your family, or trying a few different ones. Keep doing it over time, because, as I mentioned earlier, feelings change all the time, and we're in a situation right now where things are all changing all the time. So it's important to keep checking in with your kiddos. Nobody has the right answers here, and that's okay. And again, I would really encourage you to use yourself as a model as much as you feel comfortable with your kids. You don't have to share your deepest, darkest secrets or deepest, darkest feelings. But something that's genuine and relatable is really great and really helpful for them to see that you as their caregiver are also feeling things, and just normalizing that process for them. So I hope these tips were helpful today. Stay tuned. We'll have more tips coming for you in the future, and hope you all stay well and stay safe.